Good morning. It is December 31st, 2018. And may I just say what a year it's been. Today in history,
December 31st, 1879. Inventor Thomas Edison gives the first public demonstration of his electric incandescent light bulb at his laboratory in Menlo Park, New Jersey.
1961.
The United States winds down the Marshall Plan after distributing more than $12 billion in foreign aid to European countries following World War II.
keep that 1879 date in mind because we are going to talk about energy in this country in a moment. But next, from Breitbart, New Year's Eve Times Square ball drop will be dedicated to press freedom. The committee in charge of putting on the iconic ball drop in New York Times Square this New Year's Eve dedicated this year's celebration to press freedom. The Times Square Alliance and Countdown Entertainment tweeted Saturday that the organization enlisted a group of journalists to help ring in 2019 during Times Square celebration, all in the name of honoring press freedom. And we'll just skip down to the relevant points. So who are they honoring? The organization listed a group of 10 journalists who will be taking part in the button-pushing ceremony when the clock strikes midnight. That seems a little extreme. You need 10 people, but anyway, there's a list of 10 people, including Lester Holt of NBC News and Martha Raddatz of ABC News. Moving along. If Ocasio-Cortez Green New Deal succeeds in 2019, it will be the most radical plan offered in decades. And the article reads, incoming Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat of New York, pledged voters she would be a far-left outsider who would push her party towards adopting, quote, democratic socialist parties, including universal health care and free college tuition. So far, she's kept her promise. Well, she hasn't really done anything yet, so that might be a bit of a stretch. Other than change her Twitter handle, which sent her fans into a flurry of, ecstasy? I don't know. Ocasio-Cortez has been calling for the creation of, quote, the Green New Deal legislation, which would eliminate much of the United States fossil fuel consumption. So far, Senator Bernie Sanders, the independent from Vermont, and Cory Booker, Democrat from New Jersey, and 40 House Democrats have said they support the proposal. Although the broad talking points and plan have been circulating for months, it wasn't until recently Ocasio-Cortez provided any details of her proposal. On December 3rd, according to The Atlantic, Ocasio-Cortez spoke at a town hall led by Sanders, quote, this is going to be the New Deal, the Great Society, the moonshot, the civil rights movement of our generation, close quote. So let's just move down. In its place, all energy would be produced by renewable sources of power, especially wind and solar. This goal would create massive amounts of economic harm, although economists have yet to provide an analysis of Ocasio-Cortez's proposal to eliminate all fossil fuels. Other studies have found less extreme policies would be absolutely devastating. A study published in October 2018 by Capital Alpha Partners on behalf of the Institute for Energy Research found a national tax on carbon dioxide would cost the U.S. economy $4.21 trillion to $5.98 trillion, depending on the tax level chosen, in just the first 10 years of the tax scheme. By 2040, as much as $12.32 trillion would be lost. Nearly 1/4 of the country's gross domestic output relative to what it would be otherwise would be lost as a result of a nationwide carbon dioxide tax. The far left wing plan is nowhere near as radical as Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal. Let me read that again. This far left wing plan is nowhere near as radical. Not only would Ocasio-Cortez plan destroy trillions of dollars of wealth, it would also be virtually impossible to achieve. When the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining, renewable electricity generation relies on fossil fuel power to keep the lights on. Currently, the only way to have 100% renewable energy power electric grid would be for Americans to live without power when renewables aren't producing enough energy. Among many other problems, that means there would be no stable electricity sources for hospitals and other essential services. So basically, they want to tax you for breathing. Carbon dioxide is what you exhale. And not only that, what it would do to crop output is, by way of taxing the byproduct of plants that we eat, is I can't even imagine how they're going to implement that, should it be ratified. And honestly, it seems like a ginormous waste of time. Ocasio-Cortez doesn't merely want to destroy the existing energy industry. The plan also requires, quote, upgrading every residential and industrial building for state-of-the-art efficiency and comfort and safety. Let's just stop right there. Just stop right there. How are you going to achieve the goal of maximum efficiency, comfort, and safety if there is no electricity to power heat, light, air conditioning? Those three things are necessary for comfort and safety. Just saying. Let's move on. I really hope they don't waste our tax money debating this. And let's just move on. From True Pundit, New Michigan law outlaws cyberbullying. Violators could face 20 years in prison. Governor Rick Snyder of Michigan signed a bill into law that would make cyberbullying a crime if the victim of the bullying was harmed as a result of posts made onto social media or other forums. Michigan's Public Act 457 defines cyberbullying as posting a message or statement onto public media forum with the intent to mislead, damage, intimidate, frighten, or harass a person to cause emotional distress, or to cause the person to be harmed or harm themselves. Under the new law, if a person who cyberbullies someone causes the victim to suffer from an assault or battery by the bully or by any other person, The bully can be charged with a misdemeanor and imprisoned for up to a year and fined $1,000. The law states that if a cyberbully causes the death of a victim, regardless of whether the bully physically caused death or that they could be charged with a felony and face up to 20 years in prison. And there's a read more link in True Pundit. From ZeorHedge this morning, Turkey's war on Christian missionaries. American pastor Andrew Brunson and American-Canadian evangelist David Bile are among many Christian clerics who have fallen victim to Turkey's aversion to Christianity. According to Claire Evans, regional manager of the organization International Christian Concern, quote, Turkey is making it increasingly clear there is no room for Christianity, even though the Constitution states otherwise. Today, only about 2% of Turkey's population of the nearly 80 million is Christian. The 1913 to 1923 Christian genocide across Ottoman Turkey and the 1955 anti-Greek pogrom in Istanbul are some of the most important events that largely led to the destruction of the country's ancient Christian community. Yet, still today in Turkey, Christian missionaries and citizens continue to be oppressed. I don't think I highlighted anything else in here. Yes, I did. This is a quote from the other evangelist, David Bile. Quote, Turkey is making it increasingly clear there is no room for Christianity, even though the Constitution states otherwise. It is no coincidence that Turkey's decision to initiate this process the day after Pastor Brunson's release from prison, and that in doing so, the authorities ignored a court order. We must keep the Bile family in our prayers during this period of difficult separation. David Bile was arrested and ultimately forced out of the country, and when he tried to return on November 20th of this year to be with his family, he was forced out of the country without his wife and children. When he tried to return to be reunited with them, he was denied entry. Turkey, as the article points out, is one of the oldest Christian communities formed within 100 years after Christ's death, and Istanbul, otherwise known as Constantinople, was the eastern capital of the Roman Empire, and it was Constantine who made Christianity the official religion. Let's move on. Video of skies on fire in Indonesia sparks biblical prophecy debate online. A blazing fire breaking through the gray clouds in the sky was caught on camera, prompting social media users to come up with somewhat wild conspiracy theories. Impressive footage shows the skies bursting into flames, and massive gray clouds of smoke has emerged from the Indonesian island of Sulawesi, with the clip going viral on YouTube, being viewed nearly 10,000 times. So let's look at what they saw. That looks to me like a twister with a fire in the middle. One user wrote, quote, the Bible says in the end times we should see strange signs in the sky. Little did we know they would be man-made, close quote. While another wondered, do they still have control of the weather machines? I know it's deep, but gosh, close quote. They speculated on where it was originating from, including HAARP and various other origins. Some, however, suggested that the extraordinary phenomena might be caused by Anak Krakatau, the volcano eruption which triggered a deadly tsunami in Indonesia, killing 400 people and leaving some 40,000 homeless. Let's jump on the desk. Well, the first thing we can do is say that 2018 minus 1879 is 139 years. So if your radical socialist agendas are enacted, say goodbye to 139 years of electricity, electric heat, water, hot water, and air conditioning, and dig yourself a hole in the side of a hill and place your house as a south-facing exposure with a window wall and fire brick tiles in front of that window wall to absorb heat in the summertime and keep you cool. No, the other way around. Absorb heat in the wintertime and keep you cool in the summertime. Some sort of geothermic engineering is required immediately because you're going to be without heat and electricity. Light, there's a million ways to have light, and you should have backup sources anyway. So goodbye 139 years of heat, light, and electricity. Thank you, Ocasio-Cortez, and all your radical friends. And secondarily, I don't know what you're going to eat, because the way I phrased it in the story with regard to taxing carbon dioxide, I made it sound like the output of plants is carbon dioxide. It's not. Carbon dioxide is what plants breathe. So I don't know how you're going to have plants growing so that you can have food to eat either. Just saying, stuff to be prepared for, because the House will be democratically controlled, and there's already 40 House members signed on to this nonsense. Let's turn the corner to programming notes that are left hanging. With regard to northern border security and safety, I still have not found anything other than one other YouTuber reporting on this security concern, and I have not vetted that clip yet. The temple, the third temple in Jerusalem programming, I spent the last 3 days researching and found it very problematic, but I will be bringing you that program probably later today. And then with regard to our own unfinished business, Halieus Media will be taking down the Patreon link. It's already off of the website as of yesterday. So there will no longer be a donation link via Halieus Media to Patreon. And for those of you who might not have heard our debate or deliberation about that, it is due to the fact that increasingly Patreon's policies about what is acceptable content is questionable at best. And the removal of Sargon of Akkad sort of was the last straw for many people. And we brought you a report on Jordan Peterson and 2 other content creators who are a source of revenue to Patreon for thousands of dollars, have also withdrawn their accounts from Patreon. There is a possibility that Jordan Peterson and his 2 colleagues will be announcing shortly that they have created a funding vehicle. And if that's the case, we'll give that a shot. And that's a wrap for this morning's broadcast. It's still dark out, so I have no idea whether it's going to be a nice day or not. But for me and the shepherd, we hope you are blessed. If you are going to celebrate the new year tonight, please be mindful and travel with a designated driver or volunteer to be one yourself. We want you back here safe and sound tomorrow morning, and we will start the new year on a good foot, God willing. Be blessed until we see you again.